So in this part, basically, we're going to be talking about some of the most popular and universal trends or topics, if you will, that's actual in creative video and B-roll video content world, and that potentially includes firstly and mainly establishing shots. So establishing shots essentially are the clips that help editors to cut away to create a geographical location of specific place, and establishing shots are usually very popular. There is the music as a keyword, as a topic that is always popular, that could include live shows, that could include rehearsals in a band, or symphony playing cello and violin, for example, or anything that involves the music. It's always popular, usually ends up on music videos or some other documentary productions, or even commercial content. So music is always trending. Newsworthy content essentially could be useful for TV stations or documentarians because of the subject matter, not necessarily how it's composed, but more about what subject does it involve. Sometimes, news forecasts cannot necessarily send their journalists in a conflict zone in Ukraine, for example, but they can get this content from places like POV and include it in their TV spot. Sports, kind of universal, as well as some of other topics we just mentioned. Sports can be anything from already mentioned skateboards videos to hockey match to Olympics, to anywhere where sports is featured. If you happen to be with your camera on a soccer game between Barcelona and Bayern Munich, please do film it, because it actually has great value for stock content monetizing. Action shots, anything that involves action. Is that planes flying, or is that war footage, documentary footage of the war, or anything where, for example, athlete is running the marathon? That could be sports shot, but as well action shot. And lots of type of content essentially can be involved in action shots, but general term action is always good to use when creating something that moves. Point of view shot, some of you probably know this as GoPro shots, basically, where we create the content according to what we see, and it usually can be mounted on you, or you can be holding the camera. And POV, point of view shots, are crucial when it comes to anything action-based production. So huge potential for using it in commercials as well as music videos. Lots of variety, and your creative freedom applies with POV. You can capture it in a million ways. Hyperlapses, it is essentially the time lapse but in action, so it moves, so camera can move, and it can be created not only with cellular device through the app, but also with any sort of camera that you can basically shoot the stills with, and then you can match it on the timeline and speed it up and create hyperlapse. Time-lapse usually is something that we see pretty much everywhere these days, where we actually create a sense of time passing, and that could be a given shot here where cars are passing really quick, or it could be day transferring to night, and so on. Basically anything that shows not literal meaning, but shows the time passing. Slow motion, kind of used to be niche market, but these days, even with iPhone, we can capture 120 frames per second, and that allows us to create really smooth slow motion, which is heavily used in commercial world, where sometimes you see strawberries or bananas being dropped in a yogurt or milk. That's something that's shot with high-speed cameras, and high-speed cameras can be iPhone, DSLR, or Phantom series cameras that actually can capture up to 3000 frames per second, which is rapid shooting, and which creates extremely slow motion that is really delicate and really pleasant to look for human eye. And food, we all eat. It's unique subject, and filming food is passion for some people, as our keyword for this class. And Actually, food content is always used because there is huge awareness today in how we eat, how our eating habits work, and lots of documentary productions and TV productions actually use content, B-roll content that is relevant to food, growing it as well as preparing it and serving it. So food is a great topic. One advice that I could definitely give is that don't limit yourself within one topic. Try to cover variety. Maybe cover that 3 topics at the beginning. Pick 3 subjects and work with them. Don't necessarily limit yourself, for example, in food videography or in action shot videography. There is lots of things going on around you, and the sky's the limit. Just keep creating diverse content.